Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to Topeka Insiders, episode number 9. Today, I have the privilege and honor having Randall with Dr. Kling on the show. Randall, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time, Randy. So today, we're going to learn some fantastic things about Randall, and also his phenomenal business. So let's dive right into it. So Randall, so what got you into the cleaning business? I mean, because I know it's a very competitive realm. A lot of people are in it. Can you kind of just rewind 10, 20 years and tell us what happened?
Yeah, I'd have to rewind about 20 years or so.
I just came up with a number, by the way. I didn't really have.
Yeah, it's it'll be about 22 years in October of this year. I'd moved to Topeka. I actually came up here from Florida. I'm not from Florida. My grandpa ended up with cancer and my parents ended up down there, and I was down there for a while. And then I had an opportunity to come back to Kansas, so I took it. And when I moved here, well, at least in the Topeka area, it seemed like a huge city to me. I came from a small town in western Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
The population of the town I'm from was about 100 people.
Grove, Kansas, right?
Yeah, it's Gove, Kansas. And in my high school, I had to go 10 miles to another town to go to high school. And that high school had, at that time, it was 4 towns combined. And I had 12 kids in my class. So I came from a very, very small town. And so coming to Topeka felt like a huge city. I know a lot of people would think there's nothing to do in Topeka, but when you got to drive 90 miles to go to a Walmart, that's small. And so
that's what you had to do.
Yeah.
90 miles to go to Walmart.
Yeah, there was, I think the closest Walmart for us was either in Colby or Hays, Kansas.
Wow.
So it was quite a journey just to go to Walmart. And even back then they were the small Walmarts. They weren't the big super Walmarts they got now where they got groceries and everything. So yeah, very, very small town.
Wow.
So getting into the cleaning industry and the carpet cleaning, I moved to Topeka. I was 21 years old and I just needed a job. And I ended up getting a job for a company. I'm not really going to talk about that company too much.
Sure.
Because,
absolutely.
You know,
out of respect,
respect to them. And I got my feet wet there. But with carpet cleaning, it was something that I didn't even know people did. I didn't even know there were carpet cleaners. And I got an opportunity to go out there, and they gave me about 4 days training, and they kind of sit me out in a van, and here's a map of where you need to go. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't even know where this is in Topeka. This was before Google Maps was readily available.
Oh boy.
And so there was no GPS. It was me trying to figure out on a piece of paper where I needed to head to, and got to a job, and the rest is history. I want to say I fell in love with it because it's one of those jobs you have instant gratification. You can take something that's dirty like a carpet, and I just had a knack for making them look good again. I don't feel like I have any special talent that anybody else can do. I just take pride in what I do. So it doesn't matter if I'm a carpet cleaner or if I'm a builder or whatever job I'm doing, I apply myself and I just try to do the best work I can. With carpet cleaning, though, it was really fun to get stains out. You meet some very interesting people and making them look good, making customers happy. That's what it's always been about for me. So
that's a gift in its own, by the way, Randall. I just want to let you know that, because do you feel like that was something that you were born with, you were gifted with? Just kind of take care of things, and it just had that. We call it in real estate called the pride of ownership.
Yeah. Out in public, I'm actually a very shy person. In fact, even something like this is me stepping out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But one-on-one, I can carry a conversation with somebody very easily.
Yeah.
And I like to talk to people. In fact, if you were to ask my wife, she says I talk too much, and
really?
That's fine. I do. I know I talk too much, and sometimes that gets me in trouble because I can be out on a job and my next job is at a set time, but I'm talking to the customer. You know, clients, they love to talk about their family, their kids, what they do, and you just build that rapport with them. Next thing you know, you got a 20-minute conversation going, and it's like, oh, I got to get to my next job. I'm going to be late.
Yeah. 100%. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So you've been in the industry for more than 2 decades.
Yes.
So I know a lot of professionals, contractors, they have been in business for a long time. But one thing a lot of them have not been able to achieve is a very high rating across social media.
Mhm.
When I first met Randall just a couple months ago, and then I'm one of those guys that like to look people up. Well, I looked up his company, Dr. Clean. If you guys don't believe me, go look on Google, see how many 5-star reviews they have. It's phenomenal. So how did you achieve that? Like every single one of them. Like,
yeah, I every one of them that we get as a company, it just makes me feel good that we're doing the right thing. There's a lot of companies out there, when I look at it, it's like they might have 20 reviews or 30 reviews, and it's like, you're in the customer service industry in some form. How come those numbers are so low for your company? And so my business partner Dave and me, we put our heads together, and it's like, hey, let's focus on customer service. And our clients have been awesome. They put the reviews out for us. I do ask for them,
of course.
and I think a lot of people are afraid to ask because, well, I might get a bad review. Well, don't do bad work. Do good work. I mean, I can take a.
It sounds really easy though, but I feel like it's a big challenge for a lot of people, right?
It can be, and I always look at anytime there's an obstacle that comes up, or let's just say that a job doesn't go as planned, or you got a customer that's unhappy, you have to deal with it.
Right.
I'll call the customer back. I'll come out. I'll re-clean an area. I'll do whatever it takes to make that customer happy. And some of my best clients are what some people would say are very difficult customers because they got high expectations. And I've always thought of it as a challenge to get somebody that's super picky about the work you do, that wants good quality service, and to blow their socks off, make them happy.
That's
because
amazing.
at the end of the day, if you can make this person super happy, and then they tell their friends, next thing you know, you got more work than you can handle.
Right. So do you feel like before you started your own company, did you feel like in your industry that a lot of the companies didn't really listen to customer specific needs and wants and their expectations? Do you feel like that was a common thing, or today is still a common thing maybe?
Yeah, I really think that, just looking back, at first I didn't really focus much on that. I just tried to represent the company I work for.
Right.
And then once we got Dr. Clean started, it was, that was my main focus at that point, because I've realized over the years that having somebody happy with the job that you do is the only way to get them to tell their friends to use you. I do unfortunately feel like customer service is severely lacking. And I think that the internet has probably played a big role in that, because a lot of business anymore is just done online, and there's not a lot of face-to-face anymore. And I feel like there's a disconnect, and there's still something about being in front of a customer, looking them in the eye, saying, hey, this is what I can do for you, and standing by your work. And the older I've gotten, and the more I've just been in this industry, but then learning from people in other industries, is that I think that's what separates companies apart, is that level of, do you care for your customer?
Absolutely. Just from my personal interaction and professional interaction with Randall, I know he's a very detail-oriented person, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit. So you got me really curious just now when you were telling me that some of your best customers are picky customers. I mean, the same applies to me, because a lot of my clients are very picky. I think it's a very good thing, because they know what they want. They
Exactly.
know want to achieve. Can you give me like one example where you have a customer otherwise would have been a difficult customer to other cleaning companies or service providers, but you were able to go above beyond? Do you have a story like that you can, off the top of your head, you can share?
Well, I mean, there have got so many clients, but there was an apartment manager.
Okay.
At one time that I used to do work for. I believe that she's retired now.
Okay.
I'm not 100% for sure. I kind of fell out of contact with her. But she was known for running a tight ship. Her property always looked nice when you went there. Her maintenance guys were always, if there was a call that came in, it was taken care of. She would schedule stuff 2-3 months out in advance. And I never once, well, I probably shouldn't say never, but I can't remember a time where she was ever like, oh, wait, I'm not going to have you clean that. Like a last minute cancellation. It was always like, hey, I need you to go in there. It's got this XYZ problem.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take care of it? And I say yes. And if I can't, I'll be honest with her. Hey, this thing needs to be replaced. But she was always known for, I want you to show up at a certain time. I want you to do the job. I want it to look just like every other place, because that's how she ran her business.
Mm-hmm.
And we built a relationship over the years, and I still work for the property. But I think she's retired now. So.
Okay. That's a very good point. And thank you so much for sharing the story, where I've noticed that like-minded people or people behave a certain way would attract people from the same category. I feel like, you know, if detail-oriented people would attract detail-oriented people, same as properties as well. So Randall, Dr. Clean. So
Yes.
how did your company come about?
Sure. So I think the planning probably started back around 2008.
Okay.
So.
Wow. It's been a while.
We've been, it'll be 14 years in May of this year.
Wow.
If my math is correct, I could be wrong, but I'm
15
sure.
actually. It's this year, 2023. So not too far off.
So
15, 14 going on 15.
And we just had this, my business partner and I just had that talk. It was like, how many years have we been in business? And that's a good problem to have, right?
Oh yeah. It's been a business for a while, right?
And they say statistically businesses don't make it 5 years. They say 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years.
3 to 5 years, yeah.
And then statistically after that, they say 80% of those businesses fail after 10 years. So I think that we're doing something right. That being said, a lot of it boils down to our clients, and they love the work that the guys provide for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, getting back to the start, like I said, I worked for another company for several years, and I don't want to downplay the importance of learning the trade. A lot of it you learn trial and error. You're out on a job, you got a stain that's being stubborn, you can't get it out, so you learn to hone those skills.
Mm-hmm.
Repair work, it takes a long time to do patchwork before you feel comfortable cutting into somebody's carpet and putting a hole in it and fixing it.
Is that what you do?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow.
I can do repairs and stretching and dye work, put color back in the carpet. There's a lot of little nuances in the job a lot of people don't realize, and diversification is the key, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I had a few different people that were looking to invest to help me get started. It's not compared to some companies, it doesn't have you don't have to have a ton of money to get started, but you need to have some money, because those truck mounts that you buy, even back in 2009, the truck mounts would run $30,000-$40,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a van and you got to get it installed, and then you got to buy the product. So there's definitely some startup costs to get going with it.
Right.
And I had 3 or 4 guys that wanted to help me get started, and Dave, my business partner that did the initial investing, he's like, hey, listen, let's not get 3 or 4 other people involved. How about you and I do this thing? I'll put the initial investment into it. You put the sweat equity into it, and we'll get this thing going, because the more people you got in there, the harder it's going to be to run this company.
Yeah, he was right.
And, for a lot of people, they say having a business partnership is a bad thing, but I couldn't have done it without Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Dave is the brains behind the operation. He keeps me on an even keel, gets me thinking about the bigger picture a lot of time, because I get very passionate about what I do. And being a technician / business owner, it's easy to get caught up in the jobs and not see that bigger picture. And Dave really keeps us grounded and helps me focus on the numbers and growing a company versus just doing one job at a time.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So that was back in 2008 you started that.
Yeah.
Dr. Clean.
It was in 2009 is when we officially started. It was May of 2009. But we were in talks about it. It took a while. I mean, when you start a business or any business, there's going to be a period of time where you're talking about it, and it's like you're starting to get the dream in your head. Is like, well, can we do it? Yes, we can. Can we not?
Yeah.
What's it going to take for us to get this thing going? And one of the really great things I think about our relationship as business partners is that he really just lets me manage the company. He lets me go out there and do the work, and he helps keep it on track, make sure we're not going backwards. And there's some ups and downs with that, but I think that we have a great partnership.
That's awesome.
There's nobody else out there that I would want to have my business partner.
That's really good here.
Yeah.
So Dr. Clean, and let's dive right into some of the specifications you have regarding cleaning business. So what do you exactly do? What's your specialties that you can name a few?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we do carpet cleaning.
Okay.
We do upholstery cleaning, area rug cleaning. I do carpet repairs. And so repairs can fall in the lines of stretching, patchwork, cigarette burn repairs, even though that's really dwindled in the last 20 years. 20 years ago, there used to be cigarette burns all over in carpet, and that's really went down.
So you can actually remove the burns to kind of make the carpet look like newer?
Well, you fix them.
Okay.
you got to like basically graft new fibers into those spots and trim them down so they match the rest of the carpet.
So you guys just hear that?
Yeah, there's a bit of an art. There's an art form to it.
That's amazing what you just said. I've never thought that something like that was doable, because from my industry, like if we saw something like that, immediately just replacement, whole replacement.
Yep.
So okay, so you have cigarette burns. What else do you do?
So we do the repairs, spot dyeing. So basically, some cleaners out there will bleach your carpet out, and then I can put some color back into it. And sometimes it's cheaper just to patch it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spot dyeing is one of those things where it hides, but if you're wanting, I mean, sometimes if they're small enough, you can blend it perfectly, but a lot of times if they're really big spots, it's just more cost effective just to patch that spot.
Right.
But we also do tile and grout cleaning.
Okay.
And then we do wood floor cleaning. And with the wood floor cleaning, that's kind of a newer service that we started offering in the last year. And we go through, we clean it, and then we can add a preservation finish to your floor. And that helps add life to your wood floors. But not only wood floors, but you can do the engineered floors, laminate floors. A lot of folks are putting in the LVT, LVP floors. You can clean all those types of flooring.
Yeah.
And then we also do air duct cleaning,
which is something a lot of people don't do.
No, I get into
which is very important.
Yeah, I get in a lot of homes and they're like, I've lived here for 23 years. I've never had my air ducts cleaned. And it's like, whoa, okay. Well, I'm glad you called us.
Right. So what kind of prompted them to kind of call you?
A lot of times we're getting calls because they've had remodel work done in their home.
Okay.
And then there's just a ton of sheetrock dust flowing all throughout the place. They pull a vent because something gets dropped down there and it looks like a monster from the lagoon growing out of their vent or whatever. There's just so much crud that falls in those things that usually it's something along those lines. They see something that grosses them out and they're like, I need to get this taken care of.
Right. So what's your professional recommendation? Honestly, that's one thing I recommend my home buyers do every single time they buy a existing home. So I said it because you don't know what kind of diseases and bacteria or even pet the previous owners had. So you want to get rid of all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So you don't inhale that throughout the system. So what do you recommend?
So typically I would say at least every 2 to 5 years, get it cleaned, and that's going to keep it maintained so that you don't get an overabundance of dust and particulates that are building up in the system. If you're going in your home and your cold air return, and those vents are usually up on the walls, if you're starting to see a buildup of dust on those registers, or if you're looking at your baseboards, you're seeing dark lines along the edges or under doors, or if you go to pull your filter out after a month and it's just totally caked, that means that there's more dirty air circulating in your home than should be.
Okay.
And those are usually your telltale signs that, hey, I really need to get this cleaned.
That's awesome. That's phenomenal knowledge, by the way. Right? Yeah. Just you share with me. We need to talk more about that. Well, so when it comes to cleaning, I know backtrack a little bit, because years ago I had a transaction in Lawrence. Okay. So I was on the seller side, and then the buyer's agent came in, so wrote a contract. At the end of the contract, the one stipulation was, okay, this property needs to be professional cleaned before the buyer takes over. So of course, just with that, what identified as professional cleaning for any other person, there's different definitions, right? So to my seller, of course, her definition was completely different than what these buyers had in mind, obviously.
Sure.
So they had a company out, did a deep cleaning, professional cleaning, and the buyer wasn't satisfied with it. So when it comes to that, there's a lot of details when it comes to a cleaning job. So how do you help your technicians stay on task, or how do you ensure the best results you can?
Sure.
Don't tap into your business secrets, but just here and there, a couple things. Can you kind of tell people that?
And I think that's a great question. And a lot of it goes into the training that I give my guys.
Okay.
Paying attention to detail is not something that everybody has. It's one of those things that you either have it or you don't have it. But what I've done is I've sat down, I've wrote out systems for the different types of cleanings that we do. And what I do is I built in checklists for the guys to help them pay attention to those small details that otherwise might get overlooked. For example, with carpet cleaning, there's a lot of guys that from other companies, they'll go in, the carpets look fine, but then when you look around the baseboards, there's hair, there's crud just stuck down the edges, and getting my guys to, when they do a pre-vacuum before they clean, just to hit those edges. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're paying to get your carpets clean, not 99.5%. We're going to try to get the whole room looking good.
That's awesome, because just by touching on that actually is going to make your carpet work look better.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in like rental properties, or somebody buys a new home, or buys a used home. And if they had a dog in there beforehand and everything looks good, but then they see all that dog hair along the edges where it didn't get vacuumed, you're going to have the customers like, well, they did okay, but there was still a bunch of hair along the edges. And at the end of the day, you want those clients to be like, Dr. Clean came out, they did a fantastic job. And that's the way that we do it. One of my guys, he was a car detailer for a lot of years, and so he already came with that ability to pay attention to the small details. And if you're in car detailing, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies to get into, and he just had a knack for it. My other guys, I just spend time with them. I always tell the guys to every job that you do, clean it like you were doing it for your grandma or somebody you really care about. Wow. And if you just follow that recipe and you're trying to make whoever you're cleaning for happy, it's easy at that point.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Randall, so if you guys have watched this video so far, I'm going to drop another golden nugget so you guys can walk away with this video. So what has been some of the misconceptions people have about carpet cleaning or general cleaning services? Sure.
Well, the first thing is when you're dealing with the clients, you really need to find out from them what their level of what they're expecting, their cleanliness level or whatever.
Listen to their needs, right?
Exactly. Because for some folks, they're moving out, they're just wanting to get it cleaned. They don't really care. They just want a receipt at the end of the day. But then you got people that care about their home and they want all the spots out. They want the detail work done. And so it's just important to understand what your clients are looking for. So we do online booking. We have a place where they can go book online, but I actually enjoy talking to them on the phone and trying to find out exactly what they're looking for. That way I can kind of detail my guys or let them know ahead of time, hey, they've got a pet, there's been a few accidents on the floor, or whatever the case is. But trying to find out what they're looking for is important. And there has to be communication both ways. If I go in there, I'm always trying to wow everybody, right? But I've learned over the years that, they may or may not want a sofa moved or something vice versa. And if that gets missed, that's a negative moment of truth. Whereas if I just would have asked them, hey, would you like me to move your sofa while I'm here? And they're like, oh, I'd love that. That's a positive moment of truth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the misconceptions, is just not having that communication with your client. But some of the other things that I've always found interesting, a lot of it's from websites that people have visited, and they get these these weird ideas that, well, once you start cleaning your carpet, they'll never look the same, or they'll wear out faster. And in reality, the exact opposite is the truth. By not cleaning your carpet, by not taking care of it, it actually tends to wear the fibers out a lot quicker.
Okay.
And here's an example. If you have a shirt that you go buy, a brand new shirt, and let's say that you wear that shirt for 20 years and you never wash that shirt, eventually it's just going to stand up on its own. It's going to be horrible, right? And it's the same thing with carpets. I mean, 90% of people wear shoes in their home, and anything that's outside gets dragged onto the carpet. And if you don't get that particulate matter out of there, over time, it starts chipping away at the fibers. When those fibers start rubbing together, they start fraying out. They don't grab light as good anymore. So it definitely causes premature wear on the carpet. And the carpets in most 99% of the homes are made out of the same types of fabric that our clothes are made out of.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I just always ask people just to keep that in mind. You know, how long are you going to go before you wash your shirt? You know, are you going to sleep on your bed sheets every night for 6 months and never wash them? I mean, over time, it has an effect on that fabric.
Right. And then your health too, right?
Yeah, your health.
So that's really awesome. And thank you so much for being a professional business owner here in town. And I know, Randall, you guys primarily do Topeka and Lawrence markets, right?
Yeah, we service Topeka, Lawrence, and the surrounding areas, and then we've branched out our air duct cleaning into the Johnson County area.
Okay, that's awesome. So, well, Randall, that has been a great conversation, getting to know you a little bit more and getting to know your company a little bit more. My last question for you before we end this interview is, what's your vision for the next 5-10 years for your outreach, for your customer service, and what's your vision on that?
Yeah, sure. So right now we are doing the air duct cleaning. And what I would like to do down the road is start incorporating HVAC technicians that can actually service the units as needed. I think that would be just a nice stepping stone for our company. I don't know if we'll get to that point, but that would be a nice goal. But something else that we've started doing is we're trying to grow a YouTube presence. So I'm trying to build a YouTube channel and trying to get more interactive stuff going so that clients can see what jobs are looking like. The industry is always changing. It's like there's new tools that come out every couple of years. Most of the time, the tools are kind of a flop. You know, at the end of the day, you're still just trying to clean carpets. But then there's been some tools that have come out on the market that are amazing, and they have really transformed the industry. One of the most recent ones that I feel like in areas of like California and stuff where they have water restrictions is encapsulation cleaning is becoming very common. And that's just a low moisture form of cleaning. But it gets really good results. I've been pretty impressed. So when I say new, I mean, it's been out for, I don't know the exact length of time, but a lot of people don't know about it. And I have found that a lot of folks don't keep up with the trends. Like they still call carpet cleaning carpet shampooing, and shampooing hasn't really been done since the 80s. But you still get calls for that all the time because that's what people know. So yeah, I think that in areas where water's getting scarce, the industry is going to have to change the way that they do things. You won't be able to use as much water, so they've gotten very creative and in products that don't leave residues behind, but still do a great job cleaning. Carpets are dry in 30 minutes or less.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty neat, some of the technology that's coming out. As far as Dr. Clean goes, I would like to see us to where we're a 5+ truck company. I'd like to actually have a storefront at some point where customers could come drop rugs off or stop in and buy products or whatnot, and just continue to grow.
That's awesome. Randall, thank you so much for being part of our community. And thank you so much for your time here. I hope you guys learned a lot of valuable information from Randall today. And I'm going to put his company link and information under the caption of this video as well. So, and Randall, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chen.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.